But yeah, so in your book, and I believe this is in the same chapter. You mentioned that God creates the government. So I'm obviously, if you know much about libertarians, so I'm a firm believer that we can function as a society, and we would have more strong Christian communities with much less government, borderline anarchy, the philosophy of anarchy, not the chaos of
Right.
anarchy. And you mentioned that God creates government, but yes, he does create it, but does he really want it? Because in many instances throughout the Bible, in fact, I'm going to pull this up just for people who haven't read it in a long time. Uh, First Samuel chapter 8.
Mm-hmm.
So he creates it, but does he actually want the government? Because we see in First Samuel here. Hopefully, my reader or my watchers can see this, but we'll jump in. Starting with verse 7, and the Lord said to Samuel, obey the voice of the people and all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from being king over them, according to all the deeds that they have done from the day I brought them up out of Egypt, even to this day, forsaking me and serving other gods. So they are also doing to you. Now then, obey their voice, only you shall solemnly warn them and show them the ways of the king who shall reign over them. Essentially, and then he goes on and they talk about all the things that are going to happen when you have kings over you.
Mm-hmm.
So though he does, create governments and allow them to operate, does he really want us to have one?
Well, the quick answer is no, but we need it. It's one of those deals where you have to keep peeling the layers of the onion. And you're absolutely right, spot on. What happened was the nation of Israel looked around them, looked at the Philistines, looked at the Canaanites. These guys have kings. We want a king too.
Right.
The point where I talked about God instituting government, it's more in the realm of simply maintaining order. You got two guys. They hit a intersection at the same time. Who goes first? Well, the government tells me it's the one on the right. That sort of thing. Romans chapter 13 talks about the fact that the state doesn't swing the sword for nothing. In other words, there are crimes that need to be punished. But again, I think there's a theological issue in this as to how much government. One of the ways I feel I can speak to this is because I lived in the former Soviet Union for 2 years.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, and when you live under a Soviet, which I mean, even Lenin said the fruit of socialism is communism. When you live in that way, the objective is people don't know anything. The state tells them what to do. The theological point is because we're created in the image of God, and this is only in Christianity. You don't see this in Islam. You don't see this in Buddhism. Because we're created in the image of God, we can act like God. What did God do? God created. So what do? Well, I create. I work with wood, so I create these all tables and desks or whatever. Well, what do I do with them? Well, I want to sell them. What's interesting, you look at economically, the roots of capitalism. Capitalism actually began in monasteries in Europe in like 1200. It was the idea of we're making a product. It's a good product. It's helping people. We want to continue to do it. So we're going to give this to you. You pay me so I can do more of it. So when you live in a situation where we're acting in the image of God, there's less need for government simply because people do what's right. Not because they're going to get smashed if they don't, but because Christ lives in their heart. The Holy Spirit lives in their heart. So the model is, really the model is that we would walk with God. Mm-hmm. The broken world reality is that until Jesus Christ comes back, there's got to be some kind of directional authority, or we're going to run each other over.